After finally getting through that mess, we are greeted with Cedric Juniper. Oh, wait, you're, talking about my Pokemon here, and you're ignoring its nickname. That's also interesting. Well, from the perspective of the character here, then, we haven't, I guess. So, exposition time. Still, with a name like Dragon Spiral Tower, it's probably somewhere pretty cool. So I guess there's a legendary there, obviously. Well, we are in Icirrus City right now, so no one's ever been inside, really. Then how is it the oldest building in Nova? Someone must have gone inside it to build it. And of course, yeah, you know what, this is reminding me of my sister's insistence that I 100% every single map in Final Fantasy 13-2. Oh boy, there was this one map where I had 1% to go for the longest time, but I digress, that's totally irrelevant to this. Here we are in, well, there's several ways to pronounce this city's name. I've heard Icirrus, Icirrus, I think it comes from cirrus clouds, and also a bit of ice as well. But, I don't know, I like to call it Icirrus. Not quite Icarus, as in the, one who flew near the sun and had their wings burned off. But, I don't know, something about Icirrus really bothers me. It just makes the pun too obvious. So I'm kinda gonna call it Icarus. Kind of a weird throat noise, but I like pronouncing it like that. So there's a few things to do in this city. Firstly, we should check out this guy. This is the guy who is talking about ores that he adores. He will pay well for rare ores. This is the reason why I was telling you don't sell your nuggets before here. This guy offers a much higher price for things like nuggets, for pearls, for even shards, and even if you have any spare evolutionary stones that you're not using, he'll buy them for a pretty good price. So we should sell all our nuggets to him. He actually pays double what Pokemarts pay, so definitely useful to do this. Now, this guy will only buy items that are considered ores by his standards. There's a lot of things that you wouldn't really think are ores that he considers ores, but anyway, this star piece is going to work. You can, of course, trade star pieces in for PP ups at Anvil Town if you're so inclined, so you might want to save a few of those. He will buy elemental stones. I believe he buys Stardust too. Yes, he does. So, you can make quite a lot from selling things to this guy. So again, do not sell your nuggets until you get here. Unless you're really desperate for cash, which you really shouldn't be. Let's see if I've got any more ores that he adores. Pearls, he'll buy those too. There's a particularly rare item called Pearl String. It's actually got a specific Japanese reference in the Japanese version, but they kind of edited that out because most people wouldn't get it. But anyway, he buys that for a lot of money. But, good thing to have a lot of money now, because we've got a technical machine department here, and we're just a little bit of money off. Fire Blast might help for the next gym, so I might get my hands on that. Speaking of TMs though, if we talk to this old lady here, she'll give us one for free. Brick Break. That could not have come at a better time, seeing the next gym is ice. Brick Break is a fairly decent fighting move. Before close combat was introduced, it used to be the go-to fighting move in the game. It shatters reflected light screen, but honestly you don't really see that effect all that often. Of course, now that Drain Punch has the same power, most Pokemon use that if they can learn it. Brick Break is still decent when you have no other options though. I mean, 75 base power is nothing to sneeze at. Speaking of fighting types, let's check out Grrrr! And really, timid nature. Timid nature. To be fair, it's pretty much still gonna wreck anything, even with a negative attack nature at this point. It's got bulk up from the get-go. Oh, Rock Throw, not Rock Slide. That's a bit of a shame. And Cubby, probably not going to use them very much. Now let's look at these two. Tom and Toms. Ooh, one of them is adamant, and one of them, hey, found an Everstone for me. That's great. This is a tricky choice. One of them is one level lower, but it has an adamant nature. So this could be interesting. Oh, wow. Much better attack. The other one's got better defense and special defense, but I think that attack boost is certainly much more useful. Definitely gonna go with Tom here. Animate's much more useful. Let's take that Everstone because, you know, he's not gonna need that. I'm actually gonna put you in the party straight away. You're gonna be my new Eviolite tank. And Bernadette was not really that useful. I'm gonna put Gerder in here. Gonna need to get rid of someone. I might need to get rid of Clink at this point. But anyway, he's definitely going in the hero box because he single-handedly saved me from a total party wipe and survived for a very long time after that. Gonna make sure to take that Eviolite though, otherwise I'm really gonna regret it. Actually, you're going in the hero box too, I just realized, because you saved me from that Lilligant sweep. And let's take that Eviolite, and let's put you in the hero box, where you can enjoy your retirement, along with the other heroes of this challenge, who, if you probably noticed, are mostly defensive Pokemon. Interesting. Let's just check out Nursey here. Level 17 is not going to be that useful, but hey, it's actually got almost as much HP as the Boldors, despite being almost half their level. Yeah, I actually retract a lot of bad things I said about Alomomola in the last episode. Or the episode before, whatever. It's actually has massive HP, and it's really good at wish passing. So, it actually does have some stuff it can do well. Gonna give that Eviolite over to Tom here. And it looks as though we're just about set. Let's see what Gerder can hold. Expert Belt might be pretty useful, given that this thing's going to be the main thing I use in the next gym, where I'm going to go for a lot of super effective moves, or I could use the Shell Belt for extra healing. Actually, maybe you can take the Expert Belt, because you've got a surprisingly large amount of coverage in your moveset. So, with those preparations out of the way, I think it's about time we started exploring the sights of Icirrus City. This episode is going to be a little longer than the average city exploration episode. This is quite a small place, but the interesting thing about this city is you can actually find wild Pokemon here. That's a serious rarity in most towns, outside of, you know, fishing or water or things like that. This place actually has some small puddles, and be careful when stepping in the puddles, because you'll find wild Pokemon here, just like this Parasol lady is going to tell us. This little ledge here. There's something interesting about this place in the sequels, but I won't mention that for fear of spoilers. Oh wow, 2 items here. So we found a couple of Pokeballs, that's nice. Now, that patch of water there, that is one of the best places in the game for HP effort training. So I always like to go here. Particularly for this reason. This here is Stunfisk. Stunfisk is one of the most infamous Pokemon introduced in Generation 5, simply for the fact that it is incredibly ugly, and a lot of people hate it for that, but I don't really see the point. Stunfisk is supposed to be ugly. Stunfisk is meant to be hilarious in its ugliness, and in fact, if you look at it for a second, if you keep watching it, it makes a troll face eventually. Just watch it. Trollololol. Yeah, Stunfisk actually does have quite a few fans just for how absolutely hilarious it is, in the fact that it's pretty much the troll Pokemon. It's deliberately hideously ugly, it constantly makes troll faces at you in battle, it just loves to use statics to paralyze you, and paralyze you by other means too, and even its Pokedex descriptions describe it as somewhat of a troll. It just loves to wait in places where people will step on it and electrocute them, and then laugh about it. So Stunfisk is pretty much a troll Pokemon, and that's kind of hilarious. It has apparently a massive fan base in Japan, which is interesting. I never get why there are some characters in games or things like that that seem to attract a massive hatedom despite the fact that they're meant to be hated. Or they're meant to be hated for comedy value. I see the same issue with, like... And see, here we see why Stunfisk just loves to troll. This gets really annoying when you're effort training against them, seriously. Make sure you bring non-contact moves. They are electric and ground type, a very weird combination. Originally, Stunfisk was supposed to be electric and water, but the developers thought that would be too similar to Chinchou and Lantern, so they dropped that. This also gives Stunfisk the very, very strange honour of one of the few Pokemon that is... well, it's weak to one of its own types, but the main thing about Stunfisk is the fact that it lives in muddy water, despite the fact that it is weak to both water and ground-type moves. Interesting, that. So, I'm going to nickname this thing. I am going to call her Troll Derp. And boy, she is going to be fun to use later on. Not so much for the next gym though, being weak to ice and all that. There are actually a couple more things you can find in the water here. I mean, the puddles here. Yeah, if you surf on the water, all you'll find is Stunfisk and this other thing. Both of them give HP effort values. So, yeah, they're actually... this place is really good for effort training. And hey, there's an item here. Max Revive. Wow, someone would just leave that lying around. Oh, it looks like there's something here too. Oh, I think it's over in the next room. So many items here, really. Now we'll find something else here. Shelmet. I don't believe you could find this before. Shelmet is another one of these Pokemon that you can find in Icirrus City. It seems to be quite fond of wetlandy areas. Yeah, interesting. This place doesn't really become snowy like the gym suggests until winter. Outside of that, it's more of a swampy wetlands place. Certainly does a much better job of it than, Diamond and Pearl's wetlands, seriously. Still maintained, 4th gen Safari Zone, hands down, worst Safari Zone in the history of the series. Not only is it incredibly irritating with all the mud and getting stuck and all, but there's really nothing much unique to find there. It's just Bee-Barrel, Marrel, Wooper, stuff you could find out in the roots just outside normally. Like, what's the point? Seriously. I seriously hate that Safari Zone. But anyway, despite being a bug type, these things can learn an awful lot of grass type draining moves, which is interesting. Its evolved form is, well, I'll save talking about that for later. It has quite an interesting evolution. This thing and Carablast have a bit of a symbiotic relationship. They'll only evolve if you trade one for the other, and then they'll both evolve at the same time, provided that no one cancels the evolution or anything. In fact, they're so reliant on both evolving at the same time, that if one of the two holds an Everstone, the other won't evolve either. So, interesting, that. So Shelmet seems like a run-of-the-mill snail, and despite what it looks like, it is not, in fact, Bug Steel. It's just pure Bug, which I always find kind of weird. It actually loses this when it evolves, so, you know, being a Bug Pokemon that seems like it has armor on, I'm gonna call this thing Kagel. Because it's female and, you know, seems like it likes armor and things like that. You know, that might have been a better name for a Carablast that evolves, but I'm not going to evolve a Carablast in this challenge. Let's see what else we can find here. Ah, this is the third thing you can find here, Palpatoad, which I don't really like. I've never really liked the Tympole Evolution family, it's just... But I do like the fact this thing makes a kind of a weird derp/troll face every time every few seconds. Just love that, it is pretty hilarious. Still, you know, typing-wise, as if we didn't have enough water grounds, and as if we didn't have enough frogs, though I am gonna let Froakie get away with it, because Froakie's kind of cool. And as if we didn't have enough, well, I don't know, it just looks like it just has these big... Oh, I just don't like those big bumps on it. Just... I'm not one to criticize Pokemon for designs, I rarely ever do, except in this case. I just don't like this evolution line. But anyway, yeah, these things can make earthquakes by vibrating themselves. I guess there's an explanation for why it does that, but still. Let's call this thing... Toaderp. I'm actually probably not going to use this one, but still. And with that, we have just about all the wild Pokemon we can find in this place. Technically speaking, I think you can get Seismitoad in water spots here. You can actually head all the way to Route 8 right now, but I'm not going to do that. It's, yeah, one of those cities where you can leave right now if you want. If you want more training, just by all means go. That item is really bugging me though. But, you know, I don't actually need more training, seeing as, well... Oh, there's another item, but it's up there. There are quite a few places in this city you can't access except in winter. So, anyway. Staying next to these people, you can hear a clapping tune. And, it's actually quite easy to completely mess up their routine if you stand in the middle of them. So, yeah. They're doing the dance of the two dragons. As if the dance of the one dragon wasn't broken enough. So yeah, if you stand like this, you can completely screw them over. I'm sorry, I like messing with NPCs' movements for lol sometimes. Yeah, look, now they're now completely out of time. They're trying to get back into the spirit of things, but yep, I messed up their routine. Sorry, guys. I believe this person will talk about Reshiram if it's black version. Huh, but who was the parent and who was the child in that relationship? Question for the ages, that. And I think there's a lot of item responses here, but some of them we can't get outside of winter. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, Bryson is an interesting person. I'll talk a bit more about him once we get to him. So, Dragonspire Tower has been watching us for years, and of course the lore of RPGs, all myths and legends are true, no exceptions. That house kind of explained that already. Now, this is kind of weird. I did not know this would happen if you, go here, and I don't fully understand the naming behind these people's names, but they're doing this weird pop quiz thing. This family is weird. Just really, really weird. Where does that name come from? I'm really not sure. But anyway, we're forced into a pop quiz. Apparently you could do this like once per day. I actually don't think I ever found this house in my first playthrough of the game, because I don't remember this scene at all. So, anyway, we've got a question here. What do you call your father's... Okay, that's weird. I thought it would be Pokemon trivia. Oh yes, that's tremendously difficult. Well, I didn't ask for a hint. Admittedly, I believe this works better in Japanese than it does in English, because they have a lot of specific family terminology there. But anyway, the tricky part here is actually finding the thing you're looking for in the easy chat system. So, the word we're looking for here is uncle, so we need to search for you. And it's already right there in our first suggestions, although it'll be funny to answer ugh. Unbelievable, unaware, unburdened, unpheasant. Oh wow, that raises, disturbing thoughts. Let's just give the right answer, shall we? So, yes, correct. I always find using alphabet mode much more convenient, but anyway. So, I hope I get something useful out of this. Antidote? Really? When I can buy full heals now? Really? I am disappointed. Very, very disappointed. Okay, you're a weird family. Very, very weird. Oh, wow. I certainly think you will be on TV someday, but it probably won't be for what you're doing. So, here's the Icirrus Pokemon Gym, where we have Bryson, and here's something else interesting, and I think that item thing is pointing to that ditch, which you won't be able to access unless it's snowed in. But in this rather small house, we have this region's Pokemon fan club. Every region needs to have one. Huh, let's just check how friendly Mini-Turret is towards me. A little bit. None of the Pokemon are really going to be that friendly towards me in this challenge, because I don't really use much of them for some time. Yeah, I don't think any of them are really particularly happy, which is why Return is not so useful. Now, since I just caught Boldore, yeah, it's got neutral happiness. Oh, great, you're gonna go on a rant about Rapidash, aren't you? Okay. Let's see. Oh, this guy! Oh, sadly, I am never going to be making use of this because my Pokemon can never grow beyond their starting level. This is interesting. That guy basically will give you items depending on how big the difference is between the Pokemon's level it was when you first got it and the level it is now. Over here, we seem to actually be at Dragon Spiral Tower. There's a patch of grass here, but there's dark grass up on that cliff, which we can't get to if it's not winter, annoyingly. There is much better stuff to catch in the dark grass, so I'm going to leave it for that. So, Cedric Juniper says that Dragon Spiral Tower is through here. Unfortunately, we can't quite get in there just yet, so... yeah. And normally we would catch some Pokemon here. The main thing that's useful against the next gym is Mienfoo. But we can't even go here. We don't actually have a Pokemon with Surf, but even if we did, we wouldn't be able to get inside the tower. And we wouldn't even be able to get around the sides of those pillars either. So, there isn't much else to do in this place. Outside of winter, at least. There is actually quite a lot extra you could do in winter. But, yeah. I do realise I have something that I need to do, I guess before the next gym. Something that I can do now. Speaking of selling rare items to people for a large profit, that's just what I'm going to go and do. Remember that Balm Mushroom I got a really long time ago? Well, I'm just really bugged by the fact that I'm only a few thousand off of getting Fire Blast, so I'm going to go fly back and sell it. Of course, it's going to set me much more than a few thousand, but, yeah, I guess I can just show off. So, basically, where you sell these things is it's closest to Nimbasa City. Now, this is a really good source of money in the sequels, but I'll talk about that when we get to that. For the time being, we can head through here and go into the little caravan parked right here. The lady inside is a Gourmet Maniac. She'll buy any food ingredients. I think I've already explained this before. Things like drinks, old gâteau, mushrooms, like this one. But this particular mushroom is no ordinary one. This one sells for a whopping... come on, say it. Show me the money. Show me your offer. 25,000. Yeah, that is enormous. You can find a limited number of Balm Mushrooms throughout the main game. Again, I believe you can get them off Fungus and Amoongus, and I think Paras and Parasect with a 1% chance. So, you can actually get more. They're kind of really rare though, but they are worth an awful lot of money. Of course, you can almost get that much money every day via a much easier means in the sequels, but again, we'll talk about that when we get to it. For the time being, what else is there to do? Well, I can go ahead here and buy Fire Blast, which could come in handy for the next gym, despite the fact that I don't really think I have anything that learns it. Still, Fire Blast is the more useful of these three TMs. Well, Thunder's good in rain teams, and Blizzard's good in hail teams, so I guess they're all useful in their own way. But outside of weather, I guess Fire Blast is kind of useful. Although a lot of competitive battlers tend to use Fire Blast over Flamethrower, I've never been one to go for that. It's just, I find the accuracy far too risky. I would always pick Flamethrower any day. I would much rather that than take the risk of missing. So basically, we now have Fire Blast, if we can check through our TM's list. Actually, maybe I should talk about Fire Blast's very interesting origin. Because, Rock Tomb could be useful against the next gym too. Fire Blast has a very interesting name, because it's not called that at all in the Japanese version, and a lot of people probably get suspicious when they notice that the flames always make the shape of a certain kanji character. It's actually the kanji for big. They did a joke on that in the anime at one point, where a Fire Blast that was pushed away turned into the kanji for small and middle before disappearing completely. But 4Kids edited that out, obviously. Well, Fire Blast's Japanese name is actually Daimonji. It's something that doesn't really make sense unless you know a certain aspect of Japanese culture. It's actually named after a bonfire that goes on in Kyoto every, I'm not sure exactly when it happens, but basically, they light a bonfire in the shape of certain kanji characters, including the kanji for big. And that's actually where Fire Blast Japanese name comes from, and that's where the attack originates. So, that's why in every generation, you always see it looks kind of like that thing. You know, when I was kids, my friends always used to tell me the flames were in the shape of a person, but not really. No, it's actually the Japanese kanji for big. So, now that's out of the way, there really isn't very much else to say about this part. So, this is my team. I'm going to be heading into the gym immediately after this. So, I think we should be about ready. I've certainly got more than enough things that are good against the next gym. The next gym's going to be pretty interesting, because while I have a lot of things that are super effective against ice, I don't have very much that resists it. Ice is very much a glass cannon type, good offensively but weak defensively, and that's going to be the name of the game in this next gym. It's basically going to be whoever hits first is going to do a whole ton of damage. And for some reason I'd forgotten I talked to this guy before, so yeah, enjoy this conversation again. So yeah, the next gym should be an interesting challenge. A lot of the Ice-type Pokemon are frail, but when they hit you hard. And I don't have much that resists it, so this could be interesting. And once again, just to check out this place here, we don't actually have Surf, but those pillars on the sides are actually blocking the rest of the lake, so we couldn't actually explore this place even if we wanted to. We'll have to wait a little bit for that. There is grass here, but again, there isn't very much to use. Mienfoo is not really going to help me in the next gym, because I already have Girder! I've got more than enough that's good against ice. So, next time I'll see you for the Ice Mask Bryson. See you then!